slightly spooky that the Range Rover is now 43 years old. And despite it being that old, this is only actually the 4th generation. So what do you get for your £94,000 in the case of this car, which is a 4.4 litre V8 Autobiography diesel? Well, they have thrown the kitchen sink at it and then some this time round. You get an aluminium monocoque, which is basically the chassis is aluminium. You get air suspension as per last time. You get a much more sophisticated and powerful and potent diesel engine. It has 334 horsepower and 516 pounds-feet of torque. That's up there in the AMG twin turbo league for torque. You also get an 8-speed gearbox, which is the same ZF gearbox that you get in X5s and Maserati Quattroportes. It's the gearbox to have at the moment. And of course, more than anything else, you get this beautiful, spacious, majestic, luxurious cabin from which to look out upon and normally over the rest of the world. The thing about the Range Rover, and this one in particular, is just the way it wafts along the road. You can actually feel your heart rate going down and just your mood lifting. Not to a point where you feel arrogant, but just where you feel comfortable and relaxed and just chilled about everything else that's going on around you. As a result, you don't really want to pile down the road in this car fast. You just want to bumble about in it. What's particularly impressive with the new Range Rover isn't just the effortless performance that is available under your right foot, but just the lovely ride and the properly connected steering. I mean, this is an enormous vehicle. It weighs 2.6 tonnes, but you can thread it really accurately down the road, and that's because it steers so nicely. I mean, there's no question that this thing feels huge on the road. You kind of feel like you're driving around in your own lounge. The more I drive this thing, the more I'm absolutely falling head over heels for it. They've got the refinement and the body control just right too. It feels genuinely luxurious, this new Range Rover, and that's absolutely what Land Rover are trying to do with this car. You mustn't really think of it as a rival for conventional SUVs or conventional 4x4s, because really it's the sort of thing that you consider instead of a Bentley or a Maserati Quattroporte or a Mercedes S-Class. Having said that, there is one very obvious rival with which the new Range Rover absolutely has to be compared, and that is the Porsche Cayenne. From the moment you set foot inside the Cayenne, it feels so much smaller and a lot harder riding than the Range Rover, but it does feel smaller on the road. It feels nimbler. The steering wheel almost feels like a little Caterham wheel, just like the Range Rover's tiller, but everything going on around you just feels so much busier. The ride isn't just more firm, it's louder too, and the engine noise is more, and the wind noise is more, and to begin with, you do tend to think, what on earth have I climbed into this for when I was in the lovely, luxurious, comfortable surroundings of a Range Rover? But a very large chunk of that changes when you put your foot down, because what happens is nuts. And what happens is that you unleash 500 horsepower and exactly the same amount of torque as the Range Rover has, 516 pounds-feet, but in a vehicle that weighs half a tonne less, and the results are mind-bending. And I have to say, honestly, it doesn't feel an awful lot slower than the 911 in a straight line, but the incredible thing is how fast you can drive it down the road when there are corners, because I don't know how they've done it. They've defied the laws of physics, Porsche, but they have managed to give this thing body control and handling composure and grip that would allow you to drop most well-driven sports cars. It absolutely does your brain in when you start to drive this car fast. You know, despite the fact that they cost very similar amounts of money and in theory are kind of appealing to the same sort of customer, I don't think these cars are rivals at all. The Range Rover is just head, neck, haircut and shoulders above the Porsche when it comes to refinement and just, you know, everyday usability. It's so much more comfortable than the Porsche on the road as well. I just don't think there's really any comparison. But if you want to make a comparison between these two cars, if you want to choose between one of them, it's the Range Rover. It has to be. It is an absolutely phenomenal piece of engineering and just a lovely